The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Federation buzzed with barely contained derision. High Ambassador Elena Chen stood calmly at the center of the vast amphitheater, her simple blue suit a stark contrast to the shimmering biomechanical regalia worn by the alien representatives surrounding her. She had expected this reaction to Earth's application for membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance. After all, humanity was considered barely more than a primitive curiosity by most spacefaring races. Supreme Counselor Xyrix, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated amusement, spoke first. Ambassador Chen, while we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, surely you understand that membership in the Alliance requires a certain level of technological advancement that your species has not yet achieved. Elena smiled slightly, having anticipated this response. Perhaps, Supreme Counselor, you could specify exactly which technological benchmarks we fail to meet? A ripple of movement passed through the chamber as various alien representatives adjusted their sensory organs, the equivalent of raising eyebrows in disbelief at her audacity. Very well, Xyrix's voice resonated through the chamber. Your species has barely mastered quantum manipulation. You still rely on chemical propulsion for most of your space travel. Your energy production methods are inefficient and crude. Need I continue? Those are interesting points, Elena replied, her voice carrying a hint of something that made several of the more perceptive council members shift uncomfortably. But I notice you're using our public technological profile as your reference. The profile we deliberately maintain. The chamber grew quiet. Xyrix's crystalline structure shifted to a deeper blue, a sign of curiosity or concern. Explain. Humanity has learned through our own history that appearing less advanced than you are can be advantageous, Elena said. We've noticed your observation satellites. We've tracked your cloaked ships. We've intercepted your probes. We just chose not to let you know we could. A harsh laugh came from the Voraxian section. Ambassador Kthar, his scaled skin rippling with patterns of dismissal, leaned forward. Bold claims, human. But claims are worthless without proof. Exactly why we're here, Elena replied. We're prepared to demonstrate our true capabilities. One test of your choosing. If we fail, we'll withdraw our application and won't return for 100 years. If we succeed, we gain full membership status. The chamber erupted in discussions. Elena waited patiently as the alien representatives debated among themselves, their various communication methods creating a cacophony of sounds, lights, and electromagnetic pulses. Finally, Xyrix raised his central spire for silence. Your proposal is accepted. The test will be this: our quantum engineers have been unable to stabilize a cross-dimensional bridge for more than 3.8 seconds. The current theory suggests it's impossible without technology at least 5 centuries more advanced than your public profile suggests you possess. Stabilize a cross-dimensional bridge for 1 full minute, and Earth will have its membership. Elena's smile widened slightly. Would you like us to stabilize it for 1 minute, or would you prefer we show you how to maintain it indefinitely? The chamber went completely still. Xyrix's crystalline form flickered rapidly between colors. You claim you can maintain an indefinite cross-dimensional bridge? Impossible. The energy requirements alone would. We accept the challenge, Elena interrupted smoothly. We'll demonstrate in exactly 7 days. Though I should warn you, our solution might not look like what you're expecting. Humans have a habit of solving problems in unconventional ways. As Elena turned to leave the chamber, Ambassador Kthar called out, and what exactly does that mean, human? She paused at the door. It means, Ambassador, that sometimes the most advanced solution isn't the most elegant one. We've found that the universe doesn't care how sophisticated your technology is, it only cares if it works. The chamber doors closed behind her with a soft hiss, leaving the alien representatives to wonder if they had just made a terrible mistake in their assumptions about humanity's capabilities. Back on her ship, Elena contacted Earth's Quantum Engineering Division. They took the bait, she said. They want us to stabilize a cross-dimensional bridge. The response came back immediately, perfect. They still haven't figured out that their whole approach to quantum mechanics is backwards, have they? No, Elena smiled. They're still trying to force stability through pure energy application. They never considered that sometimes the simplest solution is the right one. Well then, the voice replied, let's show them how humans solve impossible problems. As her ship broke orbit, Elena couldn't help but feel a slight thrill of anticipation. The aliens were about to learn why humanity had survived and thrived on a death world, why they had advanced so quickly despite their numerous limitations, and why underestimating humans was always a dangerous mistake. The real question wasn't whether they could stabilize a cross-dimensional bridge, they'd been doing that for decades. The question was how the Galactic Federation would react, and they realized that humanity's greatest advantage wasn't their technology at all, it was their ability to think outside the boundaries of what everyone else considered possible. Deep within a repurposed mining facility beneath the Australian outback, Dr. Sarah Wong stood before a holographic display that filled the cavernous underground chamber. Around her, dozens of scientists and engineers from every corner of Earth worked at various stations, their quiet murmurs echoing off the rock walls. "Show me the simulation again," she said, adjusting her old-fashioned paper notebook, a quirk that her alien counterparts would have found horrifyingly primitive. The hologram shifted, displaying the complex mathematics of cross-dimensional physics that the Federation considered absolute truth. Their entire approach is based on forcing stability through raw power, came a voice from behind her. Dr. James Martinez, Earth's leading expert on quantum mechanics, walked up beside her, nursing a cup of coffee in a mug that read, "Physics, it's not rocket science, it's harder." "Exactly," Sarah replied, scribbling another note. "They're trying to hold the bridge open like you'd hold open a door, by applying constant force against the universe's attempt to close it. No wonder they can't maintain it for more than a few seconds." James took a sip of his coffee. "You know what this reminds me of? My daughter's kindergarten class." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "Last week, they were learning about shapes. The teacher gave them all squares and told them to make circles. Most of the kids tried to round off the corners, tried to reshape the square directly into a circle." He paused, grinning. "But my little girl? She tore the square into tiny pieces and used them to make a circle." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Sometimes you have to break something down to build something better." She turned to the assembled team. "Everyone, gather round. I think we've been approaching this all wrong." As the international team assembled, Sarah began drawing on her notebook. "The Federation's approach treats spacetime like it's a solid wall that needs to be held open. But we know better. Spacetime is more like a fabric. And what do you do with fabric? You fold it," called out Dr. Patel from the quantum engineering section. "Exactly. Instead of trying to tear a hole and hold it open, we fold spacetime back on itself. The universe naturally wants to maintain cohesion, we just need to give it a path of least resistance." The chamber erupted in excited discussion as implications became clear. One of the younger engineers raised her hand. "But Dr. Wong, won't we still need massive amounts of energy to initiate the fold?" Sarah smiled. "That's where we get to be really clever. Remember what makes Earth special?" "Our gravity well," James answered, understanding dawning on his face. "We evolved on a high-gravity world. We've been dealing with gravity manipulation since we first tried to reach space. And gravity," Sarah continued, "is nothing more than a natural fold in spacetime. We don't need to generate massive energy to create a new fold, we just need to manipulate the one that's already there." The team broke into smaller groups, each tackling a different aspect of the problem. Within hours, the chamber was filled with new simulations, each one refining their approach. They weren't trying to build some massive energy-intensive quantum gateway like the Federation would expect. Instead, they were developing something far simpler and more elegant, a gravity lens that would redirect Earth's natural gravitational field to create a stable spacetime fold. 3 days later, Sarah stood before Ambassador Chen, presenting their solution. The ambassador listened carefully, occasionally asking questions that revealed her own deep understanding of quantum mechanics. "So," Elena said finally, "instead of fighting against universal constants, we're using them to our advantage," Sarah finished. "The Federation has been so focused on overcoming the universe's natural tendencies that they never considered working with them instead." Elena smiled. "They're expecting us to fail spectacularly. They're waiting to see our primitive technology collapse under the impossible strain of maintaining a cross-dimensional bridge." "Well," Sarah replied, picking up her notebook, "they're right about one thing: we are going to show them something spectacular. Just not in the way they're expecting." As the team began final preparations for the demonstration, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The Federation would be watching, expecting to see huge energy reactors, massive quantum field generators, and complex technological arrays. Instead, they would see something that looked deceptively simple, and that was the beauty of it. The most elegant solutions often looked simple on the surface. It wasn't about having the most advanced technology, it was about understanding the fundamental nature of the universe and working with it rather than against it. It was about seeing patterns that others missed because they were too focused on brute force solutions. In 2 days, they would show the Federation that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, it was their perspective. And sometimes, the ability to think differently was the most advanced technology of all. The day before the demonstration, the Federation's observation team arrived on Earth. Their massive ships descended through the atmosphere with the kind of graceful precision that came from thousands of years of spacefaring experience. Supreme Counselor Xyrix led the delegation, his crystalline form now encased in an environmental suit that made him look like a walking diamond in a spacesuit. Dr. Sarah Wong watched their arrival from the observation deck of the test facility, which had been deliberately constructed to look appropriately primitive by Federation standards. The walls were plain concrete, the equipment visibly mechanical, and there was a conspicuous absence of the quantum field generators the aliens would expect to see. "They're scanning everything," James reported, looking at a discrete monitor. "Their energy detection equipment is working overtime trying to figure out where we're hiding our power source." "Let them scan," Sarah replied, smiling. "Sometimes the best place to hide something is in plain sight." The Federation delegation entered the facility, their environmental suits whirring and clicking as they adjusted to Earth's atmosphere. Ambassador Kthar's scales were shifting through patterns that indicated both skepticism and curiosity. "This is your testing facility?" Xyrix's translated voice carried a note of disbelief. "Where are your quantum containment fields? Your particle accelerators? Your dimensional stabilizers?" Elena Chen stepped forward to greet them. "We find that sometimes simpler approaches yield better results. Dr. Wong will explain our methodology." Sarah approached the delegation, still carrying her paper notebook. The sight of it caused several alien scientists to exchange what she assumed were their species' equivalent of incredulous looks. "Honorable delegates," she began, "your approach to cross-dimensional bridges has been based on the assumption that massive energy is required to force spacetime to maintain a stable connection. We propose an alternative solution." She walked them through the facility, explaining their approach in terms that deliberately emphasized its simplicity. With each explanation, the alien scientists became more agitated, their various biological and mechanical indicators showing increasing levels of disbelief and confusion. "Impossible," declared one of the Federation's leading quantum theorists, their photonic form flickering with agitation. "You cannot simply fold spacetime like fabric. The energy requirements are already being met," Sarah interrupted, pointing to a simple diagram in her notebook. "By Earth itself. We're not creating energy, we're redirecting it. Think of it like a river. You can try to force water to flow uphill by applying massive energy, or you can simply build a channel that uses the water's natural tendency to flow downhill. But that's... Thara's scales rippled in confusion. That's absurdly primitive. Is it? Sarah asked. Or is it just a different way of looking at the problem? You've been so focused on forcing the universe to do what you want that you never considered working with its natural tendencies. She led them to the heart of the facility, a surprisingly small room containing what looked to the aliens like crude machinery. At its center sat a device that appeared to be little more than a series of carefully arranged mirrors and gravitational lenses. Tomorrow, Sarah continued, we won't be fighting against universal constants. We'll be dancing with them. The universe doesn't care how advanced your technology is, it only cares about results. As the delegation left to prepare for the next day's demonstration, Sarah overheard one alien scientist muttering to another in their native language. Thanks to her universal translator, she caught the words, either they are complete fools, or they understand something fundamental that we have missed. Back in the control room, James approached her. They still think we're going to fail spectacularly. Good, Sarah replied, making one final note in her notebook. That's exactly what we want them to think. Tomorrow, we're not just going to show them a stable cross-dimensional bridge, we're going to show them that sometimes the most advanced civilizations can miss the simplest solutions. She looked at the device they had built, its seemingly simple design belying the profound understanding of universal principles it represented. Tomorrow, they would demonstrate that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to overpower nature's laws, but their ability to understand them deeply enough to work within them. The Federation was about to learn that true advancement wasn't measured by the complexity of one's technology, but by the wisdom to know when complexity wasn't needed at all. The day of the demonstration dawned clear and crisp. The Federation's observation ships hovered above the facility, their sensors trained on every square inch of the testing ground. Inside the control room, Dr. Sarah Wong made final adjustments to their gravity lens array while the alien delegation watched from behind quantum-reinforced observation shields. They've brought enough scanning equipment to detect a quantum fluctuation on the other side of the galaxy, James remarked, checking their own monitoring systems. They really think we're hiding something. We are, Sarah replied with a slight smile. We're hiding the fact that they've overcomplicated everything for centuries. Supreme Counselor Xyrix's voice echoed through the chamber. You have one attempt, humans. Your goal is to maintain a stable cross-dimensional bridge for 1 full minute. Our sensors are calibrated to detect any artificial assistance or hidden power sources. Understood, Elena responded from her position near the observation area. Dr. Wong, you may proceed when ready. Sarah took a deep breath and opened her notebook one last time, though she had memorized every calculation. Initiating gravitational alignment sequence. The device at the center of the chamber began to move. To the aliens' apparent confusion, there was no dramatic surge of energy, no massive power spike, just the quiet hum of precision machinery as the gravitational lenses shifted into position. First fold alignment complete, James announced. Local spacetime curvature responding as predicted. Through the observation windows, Sarah could see the alien scientists frantically checking their instruments, trying to understand how the humans were manipulating spacetime with such apparently primitive technology. Second fold engaging, Sarah called out. Preparing to synchronize with Earth's natural gravitational field. The air in the chamber began to shimmer, not from energy discharge but from the subtle warping of spacetime itself. The alien observers pressed closer to their shields, their various sensory organs straining to understand what they were witnessing. Impossible, one of their quantum theorists declared. They're achieving spatial distortion with less energy than we use to power our environmental suits. Final alignment in 3, 2, 1. The chamber filled with a soft blue light as the cross-dimensional bridge sparked into existence. Unlike the Federation's attempts, which typically manifested as violent, unstable tears in spacetime, this bridge appeared as a gentle curve, like a road following the natural contours of a landscape. Bridge stabilized, James announced, his voice steady despite his excitement. Time mark, 15 seconds. The alien delegation erupted in a cacophony of translated exclamations and demands for explanations. Their instruments showed something that shouldn't be possible, a stable cross-dimensional bridge being maintained with minimal energy input. 30 seconds, James called out. Sarah watched the readouts, not with anxiety but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they've solved a puzzle correctly. The bridge wasn't fighting against universal constants, it was working with them, using Earth's natural gravitational field to maintain its stability. 45 seconds. Ambassador Kthar's scales had turned a pale shade that indicated either awe or fear. How are you maintaining quantum coherence without active field stabilizers? We're not, Sarah replied, never taking her eyes off the controls. We're letting the universe maintain it for us. We just showed it the path of least resistance. 1 minute, James announced triumphantly. Bridge stability at 100%. The chamber fell silent except for the soft hum of the machinery. Sarah looked up at the Federation delegation. Would you like us to maintain it longer? We can keep this bridge open indefinitely. Xyrix's crystalline form had shifted to a deep blue of profound confusion. That shouldn't be possible. Our most advanced theories are based on assumptions that we questioned, Sarah finished for him. You tried to force the universe to bend to your will. We learned to bend with it instead. To demonstrate her point, Sarah walked toward the bridge. The aliens moved to stop her, clearly expecting the human to be torn apart by quantum forces. Instead, she calmly extended her hand into the blue light. When she withdrew it, she was holding a piece of paper, her notebook from a parallel dimension, identical except for being written in mirror writing. Sometimes, she said, addressing the stunned delegation, the most advanced solution is the one that looks the simplest on the surface. You've been trying to build increasingly complex technology to solve this problem. We just had to understand the problem deeply enough to see the simple solution that was there all along. The implications of what they were witnessing began to sink in among the alien observers. This wasn't just a demonstration of cross-dimensional physics, it was proof that humanity's seemingly primitive approach to science might actually represent a deeper understanding of universal principles than the Federation had achieved in millennia of technological advancement. 1 week after the demonstration, the Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Federation was filled to capacity. Representatives from every member civilization had gathered to witness something unprecedented, the admission of a primitive species that had just revolutionized their understanding of quantum physics. Elena Chen stood at the center of the chamber again, but this time the atmosphere was markedly different. Gone were the dismissive whispers and condescending glances. Instead, there was an air of cautious respect, tinged with more than a little concern. Supreme Counselor Xyrix addressed the assembly, his crystalline form shifting through colors that indicated deep contemplation. The demonstration on Earth has forced us to reconsider many of our fundamental assumptions. Not just about humanity's capabilities, but about our own understanding of the universe. Ambassador Kthar, whose scales now displayed patterns of respectful attention rather than dismissal, spoke next. We've analyzed the human's gravitational lens technology extensively. Its elegance lies in its simplicity. While we sought to dominate natural laws through brute force, they learned to work within them. That raises an important question, another council member interjected, their bioluminescent form pulsing with concern. If humanity has achieved this level of understanding while appearing primitive, what else are they capable of? Elena smiled slightly. Perhaps that's not the right question to ask. The real question is, what could we all achieve if we learned to look at problems differently? She gestured, and Dr. Sarah Wong entered the chamber, still carrying her paper notebook. The sight of such an archaic recording device no longer drew scorn from the assembled aliens, but thoughtful consideration. Our solution to the cross-dimensional bridge problem wasn't about having superior technology, Sarah explained. It was about having a different perspective. We didn't try to overcome the universe's natural tendencies, we tried to understand them better. She opened her notebook, and a holographic display activated, showing their gravity lens design. This technology isn't just about creating stable bridges between dimensions. It's about understanding that sometimes the most advanced solution is the one that works with nature rather than against it. Xyrix's form crystallized into a pattern that indicated decision. The Federation Council has voted. Earth will be granted full membership status, but with an additional provision that we believe will benefit all parties. Elena raised an eyebrow. Oh. We want to establish a new division within the Federation, the Department of Alternative Solutions. Its purpose will be to examine problems from multiple perspectives, combining humanity's unique approach with our advanced technology. And who would lead this department? Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. Earth would, Xyrix replied. Your species has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to find elegant solutions to complex problems. We believe this gift for thinking outside the box, as you call it, could revolutionize numerous fields of study. Sarah stepped forward. The universe is full of elegant solutions hiding in plain sight. Sometimes it takes a fresh perspective to see them. As the chamber erupted in discussion about the implications of this new arrangement, Elena reflected on how far they'd come. Humanity had entered these chambers as supposed primitives and emerged as teachers, showing the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy that true progress wasn't always about having the most sophisticated technology, it was about having the wisdom to know when sophistication wasn't needed. The Federation had expected humans to fail spectacularly. Instead, they had succeeded brilliantly by doing what humans had always done best, adapting, innovating, and finding unexpected solutions to impossible problems. As the session concluded, Sarah made one final note in her paper notebook, a quote from Einstein that seemed particularly fitting: everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler. The Federation was about to learn that humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wouldn't be their technology, it would be their perspective. And sometimes, a new way of looking at the universe was the most advanced technology of all.